Our session, AI-Informed Healthcare, Shaping the Future of Care, sponsored by Exponential Triage, is now beginning in the session room. Please welcome CEO Daniel Schonbrun.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Daniel Schonbrun, CEO of Exponential. Thrilled to sponsor this conversation about AI. It is a topic near and dear to my heart. You know, there's a lot of buzz out there about AI can do this, AI can do that. But solving real human problems, whether it's for the patients who need high-quality care or for the teams, the admissions teams, the staff in post-acute care that are helping deliver that care, making their lives as great as possible and helping lower the cost of high-quality care throughout the country. Specifically, I'm excited to be here with PCC. PCC has really been at the forefront pushing for more and more innovation in our field, and they've done it as a partner to the development community. I think that's an important point to remember, is how we work together to solve these problems. Exponential, our company, our first product is Triage. It really starts at the very beginning of the transitions into post-acute care, coming from a hospital into the nursing home, and making everything about that process as seamless and automated and patient-centric as possible. When we think about some of the special things that AI can do, historically, when we talked about technology, you had to do a balance between how expensive something was, how fast it was, and how good the quality was. And you couldn't get all three. You had to choose one or two of them. What's different now with AI is that we can actually improve quality by making it more patient-centric. We can make it faster, and we can also lower the cost. So it's a very exciting moment for us. And we focus at the admission step. We've got a short video to help you understand how our tool helps with admissions. And then looking into the future, there are plenty of opportunities to innovate from here.
In post-acute care, every minute matters, and every empty bed costs you. Meet Triage by Exponential, the all-in-one referral management platform built for skilled nursing and home health teams. Triage automates your referral intake, screens patients instantly, and helps you respond in minutes, not hours.
All of our buildings have been full or near full since we've had this up and running.
Across post-acute care, Triage is helping teams work smarter, fill beds faster, and strengthen census with less effort. Teams using Triage report higher occupancy, smoother workflows, and faster decision-making.
We really are able to get back to our hospitals within minutes to accept patients, and it has made a great improvement in our relationship with the hospitals, revenue, and the efficiency of the entire referral and admissions process.
All from one intuitive dashboard. With Triage, you'll spend less time chasing referrals and more time building census. Exponential Triage. Faster referrals, stronger census, smarter growth.
So as you can see from the video, one of the things that Triage also does is it helps with the profitability and running of post-acute care operators. And that's a key part of the process too. You know, in order to deliver high quality care, we need to make sure that it's funded. And these are some of the results that we've had with our operators. So this is, I'm going to say, more on the operator side, and what this helps them do is to deliver that high-quality care to the patients. And this is just the beginning. Admissions is just the first step in the process. There's so many pieces of the puzzle that can get smoother. And you met MJ a minute ago. I love MJ. And so much of this is the cognitive load taken off her team. There's so much stuff that they had to do, had to think about. Everything was so urgent, scramble, do this, do that, and now they could focus on caring for their population. So that's what we get most excited about. And now to hand it off to the PCC team, excited to hear what they've got to tell us. Thank you, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning,
All right. Who was at Fit Camp this morning or pickleball? Anybody? Nobody? Okay. I don't feel so bad. Any of you guys?
No.
No. Okay. Well, welcome today to the last panel of the conference. We're going to be discussing how AI will be shaping the future of care. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Alexis Evanich. I am the Senior Director of Corporate Relations with PointClickCare. I'm in my 17th year. I've had the great pleasure and honor of being on the eCap Advisory Board, eCapWest Advisory Board for the past 3 years. I hope you enjoyed the conference. We certainly did, and we hope you found the takeaway and the value that will bring you back year after year. So with that, PointClickCare, many of you probably noticed we've been under a big rebrand, a lot of changes. A couple things that have stayed constant is that the founder brothers are still at the helm, and that we wake up every single day trying to figure out what tools best to give our providers that will drive exceptional outcomes and care. So with that, I have to read these notes, I haven't memorized all this. There are 4 main pillars PointClickCare is focusing on: powering the largest integrated ecosystem, driving intelligent transitions, creating reimbursable outcomes, and why we're here today, AI-informed healthcare. Marketing has a little blurb they would like me to read you, so I'm gonna read it. Marketing has, I'm reading it, sorry. PCC owns the industry's only AI models trained on the largest network of acute and long-term post-acute care data, giving care teams predictive tools and chart-level insights to make faster and better decisions. Full disclosure, this is my first time ever moderating a panel, if you haven't noticed, and I spent all weekend and part of the morning trying to get ums out of my vocabulary, so bear with me. I wanted to say if there's anything that we missed or anything more that you'd like us to elaborate on, at the end we will have plenty of time for any questions. We welcome it, this is the time. So with that, I will turn it over to the panelists to introduce yourself, please, a role, and then just a little bit about what excites you about the potential of AI.
Sure. Well, thanks, Alexis. And by the way, well done.
No
ums at all. So well done.
The Xanax worked.
In terms of that objective, we can definitely check that off.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm James Yersh. I'm the president of PointClickCare, and particularly passionate about AI and how it can help basically transform healthcare from proactive to be proactive instead of reactive. You know, it's our duty, I think, as as an enabler to empower people with tools to make sure that they're making, as you said, Alexis, decisions faster, and it's all about patient outcomes and improving it and getting surfacing insights to allow them to practice at the top of their license effectively. It's really about augmentation. We're not here to replace clinicians. We're not here to replace their judgment, but really we want to surface those actionable insights to enable them to do what it is that they need to do. From my perspective, the promise of AI and what it can do is really about unifying data, financial, clinical, operational, into one trusted source. And I think that, secure aspect, it's a big change for a lot of the practitioners who, don't have trust in AI yet. We've seen that in some of our early ventures where nurses are afraid to click on a button that says AI because they just don't believe it, they just don't trust it yet. So part of our own journey is to help them on their journey and to utilize some of these tools.
Very good.
Lisa, over to you.
Lisa?
My name is Lisa Daniel. I'm the VP of Clinical Services for a company based in Texas. We're a privately held, family-owned company with 12 SNFs. But we've actually been a partner with PointClickCare for 14 years now. We came on board in 2012, so we've gone through lots of innovative changes in adopting different modules and seeing the transition from where we were on paper to the best EMR that is out there, that's offered to us.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. And being able to partner with them in developing, as an end user, what does it look like from the nursing perspective. How does it function in our day-to-day? And really, I've only been assisting with the chart advisor since March, maybe. And I'm a 50-something-year-old lady, so, AI was a little scary, but seeing the outcomes and watching my staff use it and use it well, and the amount of time that it has given them back to being able to be at the bedside. And then, I'm a nurse, so I'm always harping about charting. And the progress notes are just so much better. So I'm really excited to be part of this.
Yeah, thank you. Danielle?
Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle Nelson. I am the VP of Product Management over our skilled nursing products. My journey with AI started, I used to work for Nuance, which is now Microsoft Nuance, at the forefront of them creating their DAX, physician ambient listening capabilities. So that's really where my journey started with AI. I'm super excited right now about where we are with AI. With the growing senior population, nursing burnout, there's this tipping point that we're hitting right now. And at the same time, you see AI coming to meet the need. So I'm really excited to take a fresh look at what an EHR can be and how it integrates with the nursing workflow, combining things like ambient listening, agentizing some of the more repeatable nursing processes is really where I see the skilled nursing EHR experience moving in the future.
Very good. Okay. How about we'll start with you? How are staffing challenges and operational pressures influencing the need for AI-driven solutions in your organizations?
Well, I think we all need to acknowledge that these staffing shortages are a real thing. And you as operators probably know better than we do, but when we're out talking to customers, it is typically the number one thing that drives occupancy. You can't have people in beds if you don't have people to take care of them. So our task, as I kind of alluded to before, is to give nurses and practitioners tools to make sure that they can provide more time caring and by the bedside as opposed to doing administrative tasks. Obviously, as Lisa said, compliance is a big thing, documentation, making sure that it's complete, helping them with survey, litigation, defense, et cetera, is all part of what we do there. But really, we want to make sure that, again, they can provide care and really that they avoid burnout. And I know somebody mentioned burnout there because obviously there's a lot that needs to be done. Priorities change. They have to be very flexible in terms of dealing with whoever needs attention at that particular point in time. I think we've seen data and we've seen AI be able to streamline workflows, increase revenue cycles, get it faster, get paid faster, et cetera. And all those things fall to the bottom line in terms of the operations of a facility, and that's needed for any finance people in the room for sure. But obviously, what it also drives is better outcomes, better quality for the patient, and that's really what it's all about from there.
Lisa, do you want to take that? Do you want me to repeat it, or you?
Can you repeat it?
Pardon me?
Can you repeat it?
Absolutely. How are staffing challenges and operational pressures influencing the need for AI-driven solutions in your organizations?
I think to piggyback off of what James said, in the post-COVID world that we're in at the moment, staffing challenges are real, and nursing burnout is very real. And seeing my nurses be excited to come to work, to use a tool that is assisting them with their jobs and their duties and their systems and their processes, it's making a difference in nursing turnover rates in our facilities. It is increasing the quality of care that we're giving. We're seeing improvements in our census. The chart advisor has really helped, and we're seeing improvements in our QMs. And hopefully we never end up in a litigation. But if we do, I think that the outcome will be much improved using the AI tools.
Yeah, we're going to circle back more on the chart advisor too in a bit. So thank you. And Danielle, do you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think when I think about, I've been in the EHR business for a really long time. I'm not going to age myself. But when you think about the advent of the EHR, it really started as we took a piece of paper and we created a data entry system, right? We're all aware of that. Now that you have technologies like ambient listening, I feel like we did a disservice to the clinicians in not really thinking about how to make their jobs easier. It was more around getting a piece of paper filled out, then you layered in regulatory changes, payer requirements, how to get best paid. And now we have this point where clinicians are almost spending more time doing documentation than they are actually spending time with the resident. So for me, it's really important that we start layering in AI technologies into the nurse's experience. We've done that for providers today. I'm sure a lot of you have gone into your provider office visits and they just turn on their ambient listening. They never have to document anything. That's where we should be going with the nursing side of the house, is that type of experience where they are going into the room, they are treating the resident, and the documentation is a byproduct of that meets all of the quality standards and payer and regulatory issues.
Okay, well, I'm going to pick back up with you. You're holding your team accountable for delivering AI responsibly. How do you recommend leaders hold their technology partners accountable to responsibly deliver AI?
Yeah, I'll start with that. I think that my advice, there are a lot of vendors out there that are probably approaching all of you saying, we have AI, we have AI, we have AI. I think you need to be pretty careful because you need to know and be asking them relevant questions pertaining to what are their data sources? How frequently are they tuning their models for appropriate accuracy? How are they securing the resident data? Are they able to meet HIPAA compliance regulations? We joke a little bit that there are these garage vendors out there, and I don't think they really understand the regulatory rigor that needs to go into healthcare data. So be aware when you're going into those discussions. Be curious, but also be diligent about the security of your data.
James, do you want to piggyback on that?
I think Danielle kind of hit the nail on the head there. But ultimately, again, you need to also understand how these organizations are getting their data. We actually have, marketplace partners. We have different partnerships, and I think there's a number of vendors who came up to me, from the Catalyst sessions that were going on and saying, hey, we want deeper integration with point-click care, which we're willing to entertain it, but at the same time, we almost have to be, defenders of the chart, because if something gets into the chart, it's there and you can't get rid of it. And then it's always going to be second guessed if survey comes in, if litigation happens, and of course, if you don't document something, the view from that is it never happened. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword, and Lisa kind of addressed that, and she'll give you the view of Chart Advisor and how we think that is helping her. But again, if you think of the internet adoption cycle back in around year 2000, everybody was running to that and only some survived at the end. I think you'll see a lot of that kind of early momentum with AI once it stabilizes and once people get a little bit more comfortable with it and can figure out what they really want it to be. You'll see some of that happening in this industry for sure.
So Lisa, from a provider standpoint, how do you hold your technology partners accountable, and what do you look for?
Well, for us, being a small company, wearing many hats, I actually put a lot of my trust into the Point Click Care team, using their marketplace, their partners. They've vetted them. I know when I'm partnering with someone that Point Click Care has already partnered with, that I'm going to be in a safe space. My HIPAA compliance, my regulatory, all of that will be taken care of. And it also saves me a ton of time. I don't have to do the vetting. So I let the industry experts do that, and then I take their recommendations under advisement. And I think that's important for all of us to do.
Great answer. Yeah, thank you. All right, this one for you. What strategies have helped you align your AI initiatives with organizational goals?
Well, from our perspective as a vendor, our new mission, I think, as you covered, Alexis, is to basically help providers, all providers, provide exceptional care. And that's kind of, the aspect that we're focusing on when we prioritize where we're going to invest, what solutions we should bring to market. And it's really about solving problems. Obviously, there's a number of problems that we could help and work with our customers to solve, but we need their feedback to be able to help prioritize that. Obviously we have our own opinions, but again, we want to help surface those insights that are actionable, that can really help them drive better outcomes. We think about it in somewhere in providing tools that can help with compliance, and again, we'll talk about Chart Advisor in a second. Then there's the ability to just eliminate administrative tasks, like I mentioned. And the third is really about revenue and getting paid for the services you provide, and making sure that if you are providing care, that you are going to get compensated for it. So those are the three buckets that we kind of focus on, and have the conversation and the trade-offs between myself, Danielle, and the leadership team about where we're going to put dollars and focus on. But obviously, starting with the problem and what we're trying to solve and vetting that with our customers is priority one for us.
Solutions. Yep. All right, we're on to Chart Advisor, Lisa. Can you share a story about your outcomes you've achieved with Chart Advisor? And what lessons have you learned about integrating AI into your workflow?
So Chart Advisor, I actually saw a demo of it at the Point Click Care Summit back in February. And it really struck a nerve with me because my owners happen to be attorneys. So for the last 15 years working for them, they've kind of raised me up in that attorney world and the litigation world, and understanding how to defend what we do. And being able to defend what we do is based on our charting. And risk management is something we all do, incident reports, but it's kind of an afterthought, I think, in most of my facilities anyway. That's the last thing we talk about in our morning meeting, and I don't know why that is, it's just the way it goes. But with Chart Advisor, it now is the first thing we look at. And I was struggling, and my directors of nursing were struggling to be able to get follow-up progress notes, be able to link labs or radiology, different things to make a nice picture. Because the state surveyors don't usually come in that week to investigate something. They come in months and months later. And then you're trying to go back and put together a picture for them. With Chart Advisor, using the AI tools, it is scouring your medical record, and it's giving you really nice suggestions of, this is a progress note you may want to put into your incident report. And it ties it up in a nice package, and the documentation is better. It's easier to navigate that system. And I feel like I'm spending less time, and my directors of nurses are spending less time chasing down progress notes. The nurses are very excited at the charge nurse level to be using it because it's really cool too. I mean, everyone wants to use a product that makes them excited, and just the whole package of it, I'm seeing just tremendous results. And as far as a story, we turned it on, I think on a Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I go into the office, and lo and behold, there's a suggestion. And it was for someone who had had a fall. But the note said, resident found on floor. And it was a one-sentence note written at 3 o'clock in the morning. That was not turned into an incident report. None was created. And it was not even written on their paper 24-hour report, their communication tool. So literally within 24 hours of turning it on, we were able to identify an issue and then follow up on it. So we're seeing results immediately from it. And just the quality of the documentation has improved significantly. And that's in 2 months.
How's the ease of use?
Super easy.
Yeah.
Very user-friendly. I can't say anything negative about it. It's been a very positive experience. And I only see it becoming more positive as you guys tweak it and add things.
And well received by staff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Extremely.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, Daniel, we'll start with you on this one. AI implementation is great, but as always, we need to see ROI. How are you measuring success? What steps do you need to take to ensure your technology partners deliver on these promises?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear your feedback on ChartAdvisor and how easy it was. But when I think about ROI for AI in the clinical space, to me, the number one thing that AI should be doing is improving the efficiency of your staff. If it's not making their jobs easier and saving them time, then I would rethink it as something that you're paying money for. So if you take the example of ChartAdvisor, the advent of it was the amount of time that is spent auditing progress notes to find evidence of falls, pressure ulcers, et cetera, that didn't get a corresponding incident report. The AI is doing that work for you. So again, your vendors need to be coming to you with a real, tangible ROI story. And I think that ROI can be time efficiency, it can be improvement in quality scores, or it can be, in this case, reduction of litigation. So, but definitely challenge your vendors to get you that ROI story before entertaining bringing it into your facilities.
Okay, Lisa, do you want me to read it again?
Sure. The ROI,
Okay.
there's some things about it about the AI implementation that we've found just tremendous. I can't quantify it in an amount of time saved, but we would spend an hour to an hour and a half reading through 24 hours of progress notes. And now we're getting these AI suggestions, and we're spending maybe 15 or 20 minutes skimming the progress notes. So the efficiency is there. I can't tell you exactly how much time it's saving, but it is a huge time saver for us. And then we're able to be out and about doing direct patient care versus sitting in a conference room for an hour to an hour and a half. And that's a facility that has 80 residents. You have facilities that have 200. I can't imagine how many progress notes people read a day. But also, it's real time. So if you log in the morning and you look at it, and then you go back 2 hours later, it may show you something completely different. So it's alerting you immediately because it's constantly running. And I love the beauty of that too.
I'll just add to that, and I think the key here is that the AI needs to be an assistant or an advisor, and that's why we appropriately named it. It needs to be there to assist the clinician in doing a better job taking care of residents. It's not there to replace jobs, it's just there to be that companion that is 24/7 looking at the chart, which we can't do as humans, right? Let's use AI for what it was built for.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I love the fact that for every click, I think you realize this, Lisa, you're actually teaching our AI models what they should care about or not. That you talked about falls. My favorite example is I've seen nursing notes when we're doing demos of where somebody actually fell asleep. And it's like you can click off that, and then when it sees the word asleep, the next time it'll think about it differently and probably not give you a suggestion. And so, one of the things that we have the advantage of is training our models on, a very large base. We talked about other vendors before, and they may have, a smaller number of buildings that they're implemented in, but those models are only going to be as good as the data that they see and the activity that's going on. So one of the things that, again, we can bring these solutions to light, and they'll probably get you better suggestions, if you will. But the fact that you just click on and tell us in the interface, it asks, number one, was this useful?
Yep.
And as soon as you say no or yes, it will then learn and take it to the next step and think about it differently next time, which is extremely exciting.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. We talked a little bit about what you should be asking your vendors and how to ensure it. The data is a big piece. Like, what is the data source that they're using? And you'll find, like Point Click Care, we have a lot of data, more data than we probably know what to do with. But I don't think that these external vendors actually have that advantage. So just be careful and understand their data sources when you're going into interviewing them.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're running ahead of time too, so if you feel free to elaborate on anything in any of these subjects. James, if you could leave our audience with one actionable strategy for leading AI adoption, what would that be?
I think I said it before.
Yeah.
Start with a problem and then figure out how you're going to solve it.
Okay.
AI could be part of it. It should be part of it, and especially when it comes to efficiency, when it comes to compliance, maximizing revenue, those three categories that I talked about before. But then you're going to have different options. Just make sure that you trust the vendor. As Daniela had mentioned, data, the breadth of data, how much data is important for, as I like to say, your AI kung fu to be as good as it needs to be when you're helping solve these problems out there. Make sure it's built into your workflows as well. Don't make it an offline process. You can have some other tools that are not there on the screen, and if they need to go to a different browser, et cetera, you're not going to get those efficiency gains that we've all been talking about up here. Well, the last thing I'll say is don't underestimate the change in using AI that your practitioners are going to go through. I was telling somebody a story earlier today where one of the things that we're trying to do in terms of one of our nursing advantage or nursing support products is we put a button on the top right-hand side of the screen that was called AI Assistant. And really, if they click on that button, the nurse will see a summary of what happened in the last 24 hours with the changes, and they'll see a 7-day summary. Normally, to get that type of summary, they would have to spend hours combing through lab reports, vitals, et cetera. We found when we were actually put this out in the field to be tested, nobody was using it because it had the word AI on the button. And so we had to rename it to something called Nursing Advisor. And instead of a button, I think the final design will have it as a pane that's there for them. They don't have to click on it. They didn't trust the button effectively there. So there's a huge change management piece that is going to be able that the organizations are going to go through that. And don't underestimate that, because I do really think that the routines, the policies, et cetera, will need to change to be able to accommodate AI to get all the outcomes that we've been talking about.
So piggybacking on that with you, Lisa, how did you get your staff? How did you get the staff to embrace AI and all the technology changes?
Really, it was an easy sell.
Yeah.
And I think because we've used Point Click Care for so long, we've gone through so many transitions with new products. My staff is really excited about new technology. Anything that's going to make their workday better, their workday easier, the quality of care that they deliver better. So for us, every advancement that you all do, our staff isn't afraid of it anymore. Now, there were things that we implemented in the past that everyone had a little major meltdown about. Pharmacy integration scared everybody, but it went off very well, and now it's just part of what we do. So I would just encourage your staff to embrace this and let them learn how it's going to make their life better, their work life better, their residents better. And I think once they put their toe in the water, then they'll jump in the whole way, because it's kind of addictive. It really is.
Yeah, and I'm sure the more they use it personally, they're not as intimidated when it comes into the workplace.
Well, and I've even told them, when you Google search something on your phone, you're usually 9 times out of 10, it's an AI assistant.
Right.
That you're going to see first. So they're using it, and they're not even really realizing that they're using it. So just encouraging them and supporting them and I try to make everything exciting and everything fun. And if I'm excited, they get excited. It's contagious.
You can never leave, you know that. You gotta. All right, so we're gonna do a little lightning round, and that is a question, just a fun question. And we'll start with you, Danielle. What is your favorite personal AI go-to that you couldn't go a week without, and why?
Can I have two?
You can have two. You can have
Or
3 or
three.
4. Yeah.
So the first one is ChatGPT, but unfortunately, between ChatGPT for me is a shared account between my husband and my daughter and myself.
Yeah.
So it's very confused about who I am, because my husband works in revenue cycle, my daughter is in environmental engineering, and I'm in product management. So it's like gets very confused sometimes about, like, if I asked who I am, it's confused. But the other one is granola. I don't know if anybody's used granola, but it's an Apple product that is an ambient note taker. It is amazing. The accuracy of the notes and the ease of use of it has just been such a time saver for me personally.
Very good. Lisa?
Probably Google Gemini is the one I use the most, but I was fortunate enough to work with a nice young man who is the developer of the software that we use for our scheduling, for our staff scheduling. And I called him one day very frustrated, and I said, I really need a learning management system that I can manage. I don't want to pay $1,000 a month per building to a big company. I want to be able to train on our policies. I want to create something. So it took us a couple of months, and he showed me how to use, and I can't remember the name of it now, where I could actually take a PDF of a policy and put it into this AI tool, and it would create slide presentations for me for training.
wow.
And instead of me sitting there and making the slides in PowerPoint, it did it. We also took one of our infection control policy and procedure, which is like 32 pages long, and he ran it through a program, and he sent me a 6-minute video, took 5 minutes to make it through AI, and it was literally, it looked like it was made in Hollywood, a video with real, well, they're AI people, but they look like real people. And we were able to upload that. You know, if I had tried to make a video, it would have been terrible, first of all, but it's so handy, and I just feel
Which
like,
one was this? It was.
I don't know the
you
name
don't
of the
remember?
software. He did it, but he
Yeah.
sent it to me. And it was really funny. The first version he used was a free version. So the video that I received back had 30-year-old people in it that were mostly of Asian descent, because it was a free software. And I said, Cody, this is great, but this doesn't represent the population of 80 and 90-year-old people that we take care of. Can we try a different tool? And he bought a tool and used it, and now I've got this great 6-minute video to train my staff on infection control and prevention that I would have never had otherwise. So I just think it's helpful in so many ways.
And that's your personal, and your personal one, though, is, which one was
Gemini.
it? Gemini. It was Gemini, okay.
Over to me. All right. One personal, one work-related. Let's start with the work side. Obviously, we're a Microsoft shop, so using Copilot. For anybody who works with me, like, I have the attention span of a gnat, so any long email I need summarized into its key points. And so we can just move on to the next thing. So that has been a lifesaver, to be able to dump PDFs or documents into that and get a summary. You know, I'm lazy as well. I don't like to go through all of the work sometimes. So it's been a bit of a cheat code almost for me on that side. On the personal side, it's ChatGPT. You know, I try and use it for various things. I actually planned a family vacation over New Year's. I asked it, gave it my criteria, what everybody wanted. And after a few prompts to narrow it down, it actually gave me a great suggestion. And unfortunately, I'd say my extended family decided they're going to come with me too. So now we're up to 20, and it got too big too quickly. It did such a good job. You know, I also use it, I'm in various football pools. I try and predict winners against spreads, against not.
With ChatGPT.
It does better than me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I should just listen to it and follow it along, but I think I know better
I
every
think they
week.
picked lottery numbers for somebody recently, and they won one of the mega balls. Did anyone hear that one? Yeah, so.
Well, maybe I'll win in fantasy next week.
Yeah.
Give it a
I'm gonna give it a
shot,
shot.
because it
Yeah.
has beat me, this is week 9, it has beat me 7 out of the 9 weeks, so.
I'm going to give it a shot.
Does anybody have a favorite that they want to give a shout out to? Anybody? No? Okay. think someone was saying lovable. What was the other one someone said today? Lovable, because you could do the same thing, invitations, everything, like in seconds. Well, we're at the end of our question. Is there any questions from the audience that you'd like to ask, or anybody have anything you want to share or elaborate, have us elaborate on, or Jonathan, you look like you have a question.
He's figuring
please.
out how he
Go
can
ahead.
use it.
The regulators, CMS, nursing home surveyors, they've been a problem because there's sort of a barrier sometimes to technological advances. And I think sometimes the staff's hesitancy to use some of those products is they don't want to deal with the surveyor's questions about those products because they don't feel equipped to answer them. And from my perspective, and I own 3 nursing homes, is one of the things that's been most sort of ripe to be changed for the last 20 years is care plans. It's the #1 cited tag in the United States. Clearly, AI could write care plans. I think at this point we're pretty much there. And I don't think there's any appetite at the regulatory level for that to happen. So I'm sort of curious, your 3 different perspectives, particularly Point Click Care. Is Point Click Care working with the regulators to say, hey, look, you got to change these rules and regs because they're no longer relevant in today's society, and how, on the provider side, maybe how the staff is approaching working with the regulators to make this happen? Because I actually think that's the biggest impediment to change.
It's a great point. And so to answer the PCC part of that question is, yes, we have an entire government affairs and regulatory affairs team that basically takes its priorities from customers, and definitely that is on the agenda. We definitely work with CMS at that level. Obviously, a lot of the regulations are at the state level, so it is a bit of a broader ground game to be able to get there. But we've shown our customers, to your point, some tools, not this past summit, but the previous one. We actually showed something where it could take a nurse's short form description and turn it into a longer note. And the customers basically said no way to that, because the surveyors will come in and say, what do you mean the nurse didn't type that note? Somebody did it for it. And there were different suggestions to say they would need to approve it. They would click, accept, what have you. But it's like, well, the nurses are just going to click on that because they'll be on to the next thing, and they're not going to read it. And of course, as soon as something's in the chart, as you know, it's there. It can be second guessed, and the surveys are going to have an issue with it. And so as we've launched some of these other tools, we're working with the regulators to make sure that they're okay with it. They know what's going on, but also, other providers like your insurance providers, we're going to them with things like Chart Advisor to hopefully, get you better insurance programs that can take advantage of the fact that you are having a different compliance lens that will be accepted by regulatory through that. So long answer to, it's a ground game, state by state, to be able to get there, but we do have that on the regulatory agenda. And I think I have a team of 12 people or so that basically help advocate on behalf of you all at the state and federal level.
Okay, anyone else? No, please.
So like a lot of the conversation today was kind of like what's already been charted in reactive. What is coming up from like a predictive standpoint, from like a looking at different clinical inputs like you talked about? There's so much data. And I think like talking to different operators, there's so many different systems that have remote patient monitoring, different clinical predictive, but they all funnel through PCC. Like the data relay is critical for all these different components, but like people have to sign up with multiple different vendors to get that. Like what is PCC doing to like, I don't want to say cut those vendors out because I love all my friends in the industry, but like what are you guys doing to be able to improve like more of the predictive modeling of it?
I'll start with this one.
Sure.
So I often look at the analytics cycle where tell me where I have a problem, give me actionable insights at the time that I'm giving care, clinical documentation improvement, and then show me proven outcomes. So on our side of the house, we are working on models. Predictive return to hospital is the first one that we're showing, where it is using the clinical data provided to provide a score for predictive return to hospital and help prioritize those residents during morning stand-up, et cetera. I think that's just the first of many. We have fall prediction models, and I think you'll continue to see that level. I also see tools like Tapestry, for example, I think they're in the room here somewhere, where we have remote monitoring in the room, right? So how do we partner and enable in our marketplace the ability to bring the predictive side of those types of ambient technologies that are in the room into PCC to provide actionable intelligence to the clinicians as they go in. So that's something that we're working with on some of these ambient technologies that are actual hardware in the room. Things like fall detection, bed movement monitors, blood pressure, vitals. Those are all things that now the nurse doesn't actually have to be in the room for those things to happen. So how do we engage and partner with other hardware technology vendors and other predictive models to bring them into the EHR as the true control center? So yes, I hope I answered your question.
Part of that answer, though, is also working with the acute providers in the hospitals to, improve the quality of information that is coming from them, and, to flag things on admission or, as orders change or as things change, if there is going to be a potential problem. We were talking earlier this morning about med reconciliation. The hospital can send you something that has a particular dose, a particular frequency on it. If we show up with a medical history, it could be different. And then the nurse has to, or whoever's in front of the screen has to figure out which one's right. They're going to be chasing after a physician, maybe the pharmacy is involved. And so even flagging those things, because obviously if you get meds wrong, they're right back at the hospital and nobody likes that outcome. So part of our duty is to make sure that we're dealing with the information flow from the people that are sending you patients on top of it as well. And we've got a section of our company that does just that.
I'll add to that. There's also our life sciences team and division are really focused on how to build models against our data. So that's another opportunity in life sciences.
Anyone else? Well, sure. Please.
You mentioned the nurse advisor tab module addition. Is that functioning currently? And could you explain a little more about that?
So Danielle, maybe you can take this one.
Yeah, so our nursing assistant, or whatever we end up calling it, is currently in early adopter phase, but we are rolling it out to our nursing support customers as a beta, which will represent about 380 different facilities that will be able to use it. It is very, and I think this goes for any AI model, it very much depends on structured data. So a lot of these AI components that we're putting out is dependent on our nursing support package, which includes canned assessments for the most accurate model outputs and precision. So so that will be out in beta. I think we're targeting November for that it will go out to the majority to the facilities who actually have our nursing support package. So look for that as an option.
And really, like I said, it's going to either provide you a summary of what the person is today. It will actually have a risk score on it.
Predictive return to hospital is embedded in that. And I think it will become the assistant that triggers any risk out to the clinicians, so that it's in one place instead of throughout the EHR.
So you can see on one part of the screen what's going on today. And then you can have, like I said, I think it's a 24-hour change summary, and then what's happened in the last week. So it's all there, and it's reading, what's happened over those time periods. I often get the question, by the way, of whether that is actually like time-stamped and stored somewhere. The answer to that is no. It's just reading what's going on at that particular point in time. I often get that question because if there's something that's there and the nurse didn't action it, they're worried about it from a survey or from a litigation perspective, but really what it's doing is saving the nurse time at the bedside to try and figure out, okay, what do I need to do with this patient, instead of combing through, a chart and maybe finding out half the story, none of the story, et cetera.
Please.
So if it's not saved anywhere, how does the system learn from the data?
Well, it can click on whether they'll click through it's very searchable, so once they see a summary, they can click through to actually see the document that drove it. So, it can learn then from the action that's taken from it. They may create a note, they may do different things, they might put a progress note, but it's going to learn from the clicks, it'll learn from what happens in terms of what the nurse does with that piece of information.
Are you doing anything with AI on the RCM space?
We are. I think that, point-click care, to be honest, hasn't been our strength with that. We're looking at, is there a way to simplify your payer setup and, for example, use AI to read your contracts instead of going through the laborious process of trying to create payers, for people as they come in or as you get new contracts, to do that type of thing. We're working on some things about, how to deal with MDS and real-time updates, as you're going through, as you're reviewing before you submit, instead of using scrubbers, et cetera, after the fact. And so these are areas that I think are newer or earlier stage within our AI development, but obviously when you're talking about an objective of reimbursable outcomes, we can't ignore RCM.
Will any of the AI, sorry about that. Will any of the AI information be available, for example, the risk score via, let's say, the data relay or something like that, or?
That I'm not sure.
We'll see. Data relay is going through a revamp, but right now we're not considering putting our risk calculations into data relay. But I'd like to understand the use case of where that might be viable, so we can talk after.
Sure.
Is there any thought on using AI for the miscellaneous section? I feel like we always talk about the place where documents go to die. And there's a lot of information in there from outside consults and other things that just get faxed to the facilities that can probably form a lot of risk analysis. Any thought to liberate some of that information?
It's an interesting thought. Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, we hadn't really considered the miscellaneous documents. I've been looking at how do we improve Document Manager as a whole, but yeah, it's an interesting insight to run that through like a co-pilot experience and have it bring out all of the relevant information. It's an interesting thought.
Please.
Triple check the data either in PCC or the therapy EMR. Why do we still need that process?
Why do we still need the what?
Triple check processes in nursing homes takes a lot of time, right? The data is either within PCC or within the therapy EMR. Why do we still need people that would sit and check if the data fits and aligned?
I'm having a hard time hearing you. This is my fault.
Yeah.
Sorry, what? Triple check. Oh. I don't have a really good question. Do you have anything?
I don't, other than back to the regulatory aspect of, and sometimes before information gets into the actual chart, it's a customer ask just to make sure that it's valid and should go into the chart. I don't know if I don't have a good answer for it either. We'll definitely take it back, and I don't know that I've heard us tackle that one internally. But obviously, as people get more comfortable with these things, and if the data aligns, as you said, maybe some of the clicking goes away, but I hadn't heard us tackle that one in particular. It's a good thought, though.
Yeah.
We have a few more minutes left. Anybody?
Great, love the questions.
Yeah,
Is there anything else that you would like to add or have the audience know? Well, we have.
I think I've said my closing piece, so
You said
Lisa,
all yours?
happy to turn it over to you.
Yeah, I would just ask, keep those problems coming to us. Ideas that you have around how AI can make your lives easier. We'll look at it.
And also, the big takeaway too is really vet your AI vendors. I mean, correct? Because it.
Yeah, definitely engage with your security teams. They're probably thinking of this already. We've had a few security questionnaires that are pretty thorough come to us. Talk to your peers about how they're vetting security of these different vendors that are calling you day in and day out.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Everybody travel safe home wherever you're going. So, thank you.
Absolutely.
Sure.